it again. Enemies close, have me thinking they're friends. 10 toes down, I'll be free until the end. Crib outside the city, I don't feel safe in my hands. Took so many years, I'm just waiting for the wins. I'm in debt to no one but the one who took my sins. I do it for real, there's no reason to pretend. If I do it once, I'll do it again. Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up, bankroll, euro, peso, add it up. I'm just doing me, everything is on me. Oh, you matter what? Add it up. Told her if it's all me, everything is on me. Gon' back it up.
So loud. Calm down. All right, it's calm a little bit. There we go. Oh my God. Let's go ahead and jump into this video. Actually, one thing. Me and my buddies were looking at the analytics of my channel, and I was very surprised because the #1 searched word or words that bring up my channel is Lamborghini and Lamborghini Huracan. Now, I've never seen my channel as a Lamborghini channel. It's always been diesel trucks or HOA drama or whatever you want to call it. So I never really thought anything of it. But turns out a lot of people are, you know, searching Lamborghini Huracan, and my channel is being pulled up quite a bit. And the views I've got off the previous 2-3 videos on this car have been pretty solid compared to other videos. So for those of you that have been waiting for Lamborghini Huracan content, I apologize because I didn't realize how many people wanted to see it. And so that's what we're going to focus on, along with all the other stuff as well. But I want to make sure I get at least 3 to 4 videos a month on this car out for you guys, okay? So crazy. I thought it would be like diesel trucks #1, ship horn #2, or HOA #2 or whatever, but it's Lamborghini, which is insane. So on with the video. Get a lot of questions about this car. A lot of people are curious how expensive they are, what's it like driving one, the attention it gets, parking it, blind spots, reliability, whatever, right? How do I get it worked on? All that stuff. Those are all questions I had prior to buying this car as well. It is it's a decent risk for anyone, because I mean they aren't just your regular car. So I'm going to go over a pros and cons list after owning this car for about a year. I've owned it for a little bit under a year now, and so I feel confident enough to kind of share with you guys my pros and cons. Okay, now a lot of these pros and cons are an opinion, or my opinion. Some of them will be dependent on who you are and how you see some of these things, especially the attention side of it. But for the most part, there's been a lot of pros, and I haven't really dealt with that many cons. So let's go ahead and go over this list. #1, the attention. I see it as a pro because I don't mind it. I enjoy talking to people. Little kids that love these cars. I was a little kid at one point, and I remember the day this guy let me sit in his Lamborghini Diablo. I was like 8 years old here in this neighborhood, and I still remember to this day. I'm 29 now, so just those small little experiences can change a kid's life, and I think that's really cool. And it's also a cool way to break the stereotype, because there's a lot of supercar and exotic car owners that are big D-bags, and I don't ever want to be grouped into that stereotype. I've seen it firsthand. There's some real big D-bags that think they're better than other people because they own a car like this, and you're an awful person if you even act anything like that, because you're no better than anyone else. Doesn't matter what kind of car you have. You're still a human, so act like it. Don't act like you're better than people. Don't act like your car is made of gold. It's just a car. It's literally a bunch of metal, fiberglass, carbon fiber. That's all it is, okay? So act like that. Don't act like you're some, you know, king or whatever. So yeah, the attention for me, I don't mind it. I like talking to people, I'm meeting new people, sparks conversation about cars. I love all cars. So the attention's been a positive thing for me. Number two is this car is super reliable. This car is very reliable. It's a question I get asked a lot. How reliable is that car? Don't you get nervous driving it because you don't want it to break? And I'm like, I did a lot of research on supercars and exotics, and a lot of people said these are one of the most reliable supercars ever built. And I believe them. There's a lot of rental cars, a lot of rental places use Huracans. They're a Lamborghini, so they have that aggressive look. People want to rent them, and they're very, very reliable. So that's definitely a pro, because a lot of exotic cars are not reliable. A lot of McLarens have some issues. They have a lot of like sensor problems. The Aventador is pretty reliable. It's not as reliable as a Huracan. The Gallardo is pretty reliable. They have an E-gear problem. If you don't know how to run an E-gear, you will run into some premature, like, you know, failures with that system. But a lot of Lamborghinis are fairly reliable, honestly. And they aren't super crazy to fix. I mean, the older ones, Murcielagos, stuff like that, Diablos, they're a little bit more pricey to fix and maintain. But the newer ones, for the most part, are pretty good. It's not too expensive, honestly, if you're asking me. Also, for my situation, this is a pro, because this type of car, you'd think it'd be way more expensive. My insurance is like right around $200 a month. Now, I've seen a lot of comments on my previous video on this car going over monthly payments and insurance, and a lot of people are paying that for just regular cars. So I see that as a big pro. Now, I'm not saying you will get that exact rate for your car if you get a Huracan, but for me, it's been a pro, because I'm paying only a little bit more than I paid for my ZR1, and that's awesome. Here's another pro, and that's the drivability of this car. That's another thing people bring up. Supercars drive awful. You don't want to daily drive them because they're very hard to see out of. They're hard to park. They're hard to back up, and it's just not a car you want to drive every day. Now, I think for a lot of cars that's true. I have not found out to be true for a Huracan. I could literally drive this car every single day if I wanted to. In fact, I've drove it for the last week or so every day, and it drives like a normal car. I have it in Strata mode right now, and it drives like a Toyota Camry. And I'm not even kidding. Yeah, it's faster and it's louder than one. And it doesn't ride as smooth, of course. But I'm telling you, this car is so daily drivable, it's insane. Yeah, there is blind spots. Don't get me wrong. There definitely is. It's not as bad as an Aventador, of course. But it's you know, it's a Lamborghini. My Corvette was awful as well. So another pro would have to be in this car that wasn't in the previous gen is the dual clutch. The dual clutch is butter smooth and it's lightning fast. Like, as soon as you pull the paddle, boom, shift. Like, it's 7-speed dual clutch. I mean, it is lightning fast. It's unbelievable. And that's how it makes up a lot of the time to, you know, because this car is faster than a regular Aventador. And a lot of that is due to the dual clutch, being able to shift that fast without losing any momentum. It's truly incredible, the technology that's in this car. Another pro would be, and this kind of goes back to the attention, is all the people you meet. I've met so many awesome people owning this car. Now, some people will think, oh, it's because people want to be, because you have a Lambo, you want to, like, they want to be around you. They kind of are using you for the car. I don't see it that way. I've met a lot of great people that have these cars as well, or other supercars, and it's, you know, I probably wouldn't have met them if I had any other car, right? Because some people aren't interested in Corvettes, some people are only interested in exotics or Lamborghinis. So I've met a lot of people that have these, and it's awesome to meet all these new people. This car, like I said, I've made a lot of great friends over the last year just by owning this car. And they're actually like real friends. They're not just like people, oh, this dude's got a Lambo, let's just hang out with him, you know, for clout or whatever. Another pro would have to be the sound of this car, especially with the Soul Performance straight pipes on it. This car sounds absolutely incredible. Just listen to this. Now, that's my opinion. I think it's the best sounding car in the world. Again, that's what I think. A lot of people think the first gen Gallardos are. Some people think the Aventadors are. Some people think the Carrera GTs are, or Lexus LFAs and all that. I get it. All those cars sound incredible. Even just the old LS1, LS3, LS9, LS7, they all sound great. 5.0 sounds great. Diesels, a lot of diesel trucks sound great. I get it. It's all your opinion. None of it's a fact, right? I'm not saying the Huracan's the best sounding car in the world, but to me, it's hard to beat the sound. The car sounds absolutely incredible with all the pops. It sounds like an AK going off, like at a high rate. All the pops this thing produces. So definitely in the pro category, it sounds absolutely incredible, and it's addicting to downshift. Let's go ahead and get into the cons. Now, a lot of these are not like true cons. Like they definitely don't outweigh the pros. I can tell you that. These are just little small nitpick things that may affect other people differently than it does me. But one thing is, I'll go right back to it, and it's the attention. This car does give you a lot of attention, and if you don't like attention, don't get one of these cars. Trust me, it's a lot. No matter where you go, you're gonna have a lot of eyes on you. People are gonna be taking pictures of you, taking pictures of the car you driving by. They're gonna be trying to egg you on, trying to do burnouts or race or whatever. So if you don't like that, don't get one of these cars. Trust me. Another thing is that they're very hard to park or find a spot that's safe for the car, I guess, because some people see these cars and they go park next to them. Attention to me is fine, but if you have a place to be, you gotta go to the gas station, you go to the grocery store, and you got places to be, and you're in a time crunch. Don't get one of these cars. People are gonna talk to you at the gas station. They're gonna talk to you at the grocery store. They're gonna want pictures with the car. A lot of kids love to see them, and I'm one of the people that won't turn down a kid sitting in the car getting a picture with it. I'll never be that person. So if you're a kid, if you see me out in public in this car and you want to see the car or sit in the car, do not hesitate to ask. You know, I'd be more than happy to let you start the car up, take you for a ride or whatever. Like I said, I don't want to be a part of that stereotype of just the D-bags that think they're better than people because they own these cars. Don't do that. And if you are one of those people, you need to tighten up, because that's like why would you ever want to be like that? Don't act like you're better than people. No matter what. You don't have to have a car like this. Doesn't matter. Just don't act like that. Another con, I guess, would be fuel economy. Now, that's kind of a dumb one. Doesn't really matter. This car wasn't built for fuel economy. You don't buy it for that anyways. And the majority of people that own these cars don't care about that. Now, I'm not like a wealthy guy that can just, doesn't matter. Like, yeah, I see it. I pay for it. But it doesn't like affect me, because I'm not driving this car across the country, so it doesn't really matter to me that much. Another con, I guess, would be this car has no cup holders. That is a very small thing to complain about, but when you're going through a drive-through or going like a Cars and Coffee or whatever, you don't have any place to put anything. So you gotta have a bottle, like a water bottle, because there's nowhere to put it anywhere in these cars, and some of them have cup holders, but they're very expensive to put them in here. They're almost not worth it. So that is a con, I guess. But it's not that big of a deal for me. It's a Lamborghini. I'm not going across the country on a road trip with this, so I don't really need a cup holder that bad. Now, another thing that brings me back to going on long trips, this car does not have cruise control either, which would be nice if I was going on like rallies and stuff like that. It would be really nice to have cruise control. I believe like 80 or 90% of these Huracans don't even have it. I think it was an option at some point. I don't think it was an option in 2015 when this car was built, so not a big deal, of course. They kind of know what these cars are designed for. They're not designed for like traveling and stuff, but they do go on rallies quite a bit, and supercar rallies, and I guess that would be nice. Have cruise control and a cup holder. But again, these are just small little nitpick things. Not too big of a deal. Now, another con would definitely have to be the storage. Not a big deal again, because this goes back to like the traveling aspect, where you don't buy this car for long distance traveling and stuff like that. I get it. That's why it's in the con category, but it's not a true deal breaker. There is not much room at all in this car. Like it's actually pretty sad how little of room there is. Now, there's plenty of room if you're not driving with a passenger. You can put it in the seat right here, and you're good. But if you have someone with you and you want to maybe just take like a weekend trip to 4 or 5 hour drive to somewhere. For me, we go to like Disney World or whatever, 6 hours. Now, me and my wife could make it happen for sure, but it's gonna be tight. We can't bring coolers, nothing like that. We can put a backpack with her on this side in the floorboard or whatever. Maybe a smaller bag like right here, and then we could put like a small bag in the front, which, you know, it may sound like I'm just being picky right now, but trust me, when you see one of these cars in person and you got a human here, a human right here, there's not much room for storage. A small backpack can fit in the front. A lot of other Lamborghini, a lot of other supercars out there have a much bigger frunk, I guess you'd call it. This car does not have a big one. It's, again, not a big deal, but it is a con. I will say that. Another thing is, this goes back to the attention. If you go to like a car show or you park at a restaurant or whatever it may be, people are gonna see your car, and people are gonna come up to it, and some people are even gonna cross the line and touch your car, unfortunately. And that's one thing you got to be mindful of. Some people don't care that it's yours. They think everything is theirs, and they're just very disrespectful. I don't know if it is raised poorly or what. We were at a restaurant, and I'm talking to my buddy, and I turn around, and there's this group of people. They have their kid on the roof of this thing, like literally on the roof of this car, and they're literally taking pictures with their kid on the roof, and he's got like jean shorts on, and I don't think anything happened to the car. And this car wasn't protected by XPEL at the time either, and it was part of the reason I went with XPEL right afterwards, because I was like, you know what, if people are going to continue to act like that, I need to protect this car further, because people are absolutely insane. I don't know how you can be taught like that. I don't care what the value of the car is. I really don't. If it's not yours, don't do that. If they give you permission, that's one thing. I'll tell you right now, no one's going to give you permission to put your kid on the roof of their car. Doesn't matter what the price tag is. It's just, it makes no sense, and it's a dumb thing to even ask. It's just disrespectful. So that is a con. That's a con that should be, that's a negative for, I think, anyone. I mean, I don't think anyone's going to like people putting their kids on the roof of your vehicle. Yeah, so there's not a lot of cons in this car. Another thing, I mean, there's just little small things that don't just go for these cars. It goes for a lot of sports cars and stuff. And this car is very low to the ground. So like speed bumps and stuff like that can be a pain. And like going into driveways and stuff like that can be a pain. This thing does have front end lift, so I can kind of raise it up a little bit, and it's fine. But you know, these are just small nitpick things. This is just a video to help you guys if you're wanting to get one of these in the future. This is just things to look out for. I know I'm gonna forget something. Another con is the maintenance. Now, a lot of people are wondering, what does it cost to maintain a car like this? It's not super expensive, but I'm putting this in the con category because it is quite a bit more than your average car. But you know, most people know that going into buying one of these. But I don't think it's as bad as you think. I haven't even got an oil change yet. It's almost been a year, so I'm going to be getting it done right around the year mark. And probably in a week from now, I'm going to have it sent off. Now, I'm going to have Lamborghini of Sarasota do this. They actually come get your car along with a lot of other ones in the area, and they'll bring them back to Sarasota at their dealership, do the services, and they'll come deliver them back. And they just continue to make sure, they got to make sure it's worth the trip. They'll get multiple cars on board, and roll down there and do what they have to do with them, and they'll bring them back. I think it's around $700 to $800. It sounds like a lot. It is a lot, but I don't think it's that much considering it's a Lamborghini. It's not like they're just doing an oil change. They're checking everything, making sure everything's good to go. And yeah, so yeah, it's expensive, and it's definitely a con, but you know, it's nothing horrible, but it's something to be mindful of if you're going to get a car like this. It's not just going to be $100 for an oil change. You got to stay on top of it. You want to stay on top of your records with these kind of cars, because you know, if you were to sell it down the road, people are going to want to know. They're going to spend $200,000 on a car. They want to know if the car's been maintained properly, how many services has it skipped, you know, all of that. So make sure you have all that in order. It's good to have a nice little a record of everything, just in case you want to sell it. Yeah, just like a pros and cons list of my experience with a Lamborghini Huracan. This is a 2015 LP610-4, so it's the all-wheel drive model. Like I said, the pros far outweigh the cons. The cons are just kind of minimal, and you know, I threw some cons in there that weren't really cons to me. but I can see where someone would probably complain about them. Just depends on who you are, honestly. But like I said, for the most part, this car has been an absolute dream to own. It's super fast. The attention is insane. It looks like a dang fighter jet coming down the road. Inside of the car looks incredible. I don't have any true complaints about this car, to be honest. I really don't. Like the cup holders and the lack of cruise control, I guess you can complain about, but nothing is significant enough to make me want to sell this car. This is the best car I've ever owned. Again, there was a lot. I was really skeptical going in. You know, I watched a lot of videos on these cars, not knowing who to really trust and who to believe on some of the stuff they said. Was it truly a reliable supercar, or is it just reliable in the sense that it, you know, that a lot of other ones aren't reliable at all, and this one's just a slightly more reliable than those. But honestly, I haven't put that many miles on the car, but I do drive it. It's been trouble-free for I don't know how many miles I've put on it, but it's been trouble-free, and hopefully it continues that. You can't go wrong with a Huracan. Now, a lot of people, they look at it as like, oh, it's not like a raw, you know, Aventador, or, you know, it doesn't have that raw, like, V12 sound. It's a very refined car, but you kind of want that, right? It's just an incredible car. It really is.